Gilbert Arenas. Guns in the locker room. Gilbert Arenas brought guns to work. What happened next ended a career and ruined a franchise. Gilbert Arenas wasn't just a star. He was a 3-time All-Star and All-NBA guard, dropping 28 a night. But in 2009, everything changed. A locker room argument over a gambling debt turned deadly serious when Arenas brought unloaded guns to the Wizards facility and laid them out like a joke. His teammate, Javaris Crittenton, allegedly pulled a loaded one back. The league dropped the hammer. Arenas was suspended for the rest of the season. His image was torched, his contract became untradeable, and his prime vanished overnight. A franchise centerpiece turned into a cautionary tale, just like that. Stephen Jackson, club shooting fallout. Stephen Jackson fired a gun outside a strip club. The NBA wasn't laughing. In 2006, Stephen Jackson, then with the Indiana Pacers, got into a fight outside an Indianapolis strip club. After being hit by a car during the scuffle, he pulled a gun and fired 5 shots in the air. Jackson claimed self-defense, but the league didn't care. He was suspended for 7 games and fined heavily. Already infamous from the Malice in the Palace, this added another layer to his reputation. Jackson said he never wanted to be a role model, but the league couldn't ignore his pattern. The fallout haunted his image for years. Guns, violence, and NBA stardom don't mix. And Jackson paid for it. Malice Beasley, assault rifle, and jail time. Malice Beasley pointed an assault rifle at a family, then spent time in jail during the season. In 2020, Timberwolves guard Malice Beasley was arrested after threatening a family that parked near his home with an assault rifle. Police later found drugs and weapons in his house. He was charged with felony threats and eventually sentenced to 120 days in jail, serving 78 of them while still on an NBA contract. The league suspended him 12 games. Beasley had just signed a $60 million deal. It didn't matter. He became the face of a rising team's PR disaster. Once seen as a sharpshooting future star, Beasley's name now comes with a criminal record and a permanent stain. Javaris Crittenton, guns, then murder charges. Javaris Crittenton brought guns into the NBA and ended up convicted of murder. Javaris Crittenton was a first-round pick in 2007 with speed and promise, but instead of building a career, he built a rap sheet. After the infamous locker room gun standoff with Gilbert Arenas, both were suspended. But Crittenton's story didn't end there. In 2011, he was charged with murdering a woman in Atlanta, allegedly aiming for a rival gang member and hitting the wrong person. He pleaded guilty to manslaughter and received 23 years in prison. No comeback, no redemption arc, just a career gone before it started. From NBA rookie to convicted killer in under 5 years. Jeffrey Taylor, domestic violence arrest. Jeffrey Taylor assaulted his girlfriend, and the NBA hit back hard. In 2014, Charlotte Hornets forward Jeffrey Taylor was arrested for assaulting his girlfriend and damaging a hotel room. He pleaded guilty to misdemeanor domestic assault and destruction of property. The NBA suspended him 24 games, one of the longest domestic violence bans in league history. Taylor was already a role player fighting for minutes. After the suspension, he never played another NBA game. The league used him to set a precedent. Off-court violence won't be tolerated. His stats were erased by headlines, and a promising overseas career turned into a cautionary footnote in the league's darker history. Jontay Porter, lifetime ban for betting. Jontay Porter gambled on games he played in. The NBA banned him for life. Jontay Porter was a two-way player with the Raptors, barely known to casual fans. But in 2024, he became infamous. The NBA discovered Porter was feeding inside information to gamblers, then faking injuries and taking himself out of games to affect bets. He even bet on games he was playing in. The investigation moved fast. Adam Silver made an example. Lifetime ban, immediate and final. Porter's NBA career was erased in a day. No appeals, no second chance. In a league now tied to billions in legal betting, He crossed the one line no one survives. Miles Bridges, domestic abuse, suspension. Miles Bridges was charged with beating his partner. The photos were brutal. The NBA responded. In 2022, just days before signing a massive contract, Hornets forward Miles Bridges was arrested for assaulting the mother of his children in front of them. The injuries were documented. The case was public. Bridges eventually pleaded no contest to felony domestic violence and got 3 years probation. The NBA hit him with a 30-game suspension, 20 served retroactively. When he returned, he still had a job, but not a clean slate. The backlash was fierce. He was no longer a rising star, just a grim reminder of how talent can't always outrun truth. Or court records. Ron Artest, Malice in the Palace, the longest suspension in NBA history. Ron Artest ran into the crowd and started swinging. The league dropped a 73-game hammer. In 2004, Pacers forward Ron Artest was already known for being volatile. But on November 19th, everything snapped. After a hard foul, a fan threw a drink at him. Artest stormed into the stands and started fighting. Chaos exploded. Players, fans, chaos everywhere. The NBA reacted with the harshest punishment in league history. Artest was suspended for the rest of the season, 73 games, and the playoffs. He lost millions. His reputation was wrecked. The Malice in the Palace changed everything. Security rules, player conduct, league image. Artest became the face of NBA violence and the example of how far was too far. Ben Wallace, Malice in the Palace fallout. Ben Wallace shoved Artest, then watched the league burn around him. Ben Wallace didn't start the brawl, but his shove lit the fuse. After a hard foul from Ron Artest in a blowout game, Wallace shoved him with full force. The crowd ignited. Players flared. Then a drink was thrown, and the night turned historic. Wallace wasn't the most violent, but the NBA still handed him a 6-game suspension. It was one of the lowest of the group, but he was part of the chaos. He was the spark. Wallace didn't lose his career, but his image was forever tied to one of the darkest nights in NBA history. Jermaine O'Neal, Malice punch on a fan. Jermaine O'Neal punched a fan so hard he slipped mid-swing and still connected. Jermaine O'Neal was an all-star center, dominant on both ends. But on that night in Detroit, he lost control. After fans stormed the court during the Malice in the Palace, O'Neal ran and punched a man square in the face. If he hadn't slipped, it could have been worse. The NBA gave him a 25-game suspension, reduced to 15 on appeal. O'Neal defended himself, but the visual damage was done. It followed him for years. The punch, the slip, the fallout. Everything went viral before viral was even a word. A moment of rage became a lifetime of headlines. Stephen Jackson, again, suspended for the brawl. Stephen Jackson sprinted into the crowd, throwing haymakers. The NBA suspended him for 30 games. Stephen Jackson was always fearless, but in the Malice in the Palace, that fearlessness turned destructive. When Ron Artest charged into the stands, Jackson followed. He didn't hesitate. He threw punches at fans, protecting his teammate, but fueling the chaos. The NBA hit him with a 30-game suspension, the second longest of the entire incident. Jackson lost millions in salary and carried the stigma for the rest of his career. He later said he had no regrets, that he'd always ride for his teammates. But the league didn't care. His role in the darkest brawl in NBA history was undeniable. Latrell Sprewell choked his coach. Latrell Sprewell put his hands around his coach's throat. The NBA didn't forgive. In 1997, Latrell Sprewell shocked the league. During a Warriors practice, he snapped. After an argument with coach P.J. Carlesimo, Sprewell choked him for nearly 15 seconds before teammates pulled him off. He even returned later to throw punches. The Warriors voided his $23 million contract. The NBA suspended him for 1 year, the harshest punishment ever at the time. Sprewell fought the ban in court and had it reduced to 68 games, but his reputation never recovered. Once an all-star guard with electric talent, he became defined by a single violent act. His career never fully escaped that shadow.